Hi folks, it's Ty Nitty with the Open Forum. Steve in Temecula writes, what is a proper way to start your horse into gun breaking them. But before we get into that, I want to cover a few basics right now. Anytime you use a firearm, whether it be a dummy round or a live round around your horses, take great care and precaution. Many things can go wrong. If you don't have firearm experience, get somebody who does. If you don't have a good capacity to handle your horse, get somebody who does. There's a variety of trainers out there who will be more than happy to assist you. So just make sure you cover those basics. Get somebody who has experience with weapons and a trainer in your local vicinity to help you out. Now we're going to start with the basics. There are a few ways to get your horse used to gun breaking. It's always a good idea to make sure your horse is gun broke, especially when you do a lot of trail rides. You never know when the circumstances are going to appear itself to use a weapon, whether it be stray dogs, coyotes, a mountain lion, bear. There are many various reasons to get your horse gun broke. And it's also a great desensitizing exercise for your horse too. This is a 5-year-old colt that we're going to use today. We really never fired off of him. A good way to start, there's a couple of ways we can do this. Get a lunge whip that can create a popping noise. You can get your horse used to just cracking that whip. You can get your horse used to that sound that resembles a firearm going off. Firecrackers, but again, make sure you're not in a high fire zone where there's a lot of brush, a lot of weeds that can catch on fire. Make sure it's an enclosed area where you have control of a situation. The very first step I think we should always do with a horse to gun break them is always start on the ground first before you ever mount on the horse's back. Start on the ground, whether it be discharging a firearm or cracking that whip to get that popping noise. Start on the ground first, and then from there we'll work ourselves to the back of that horse, and then we'll continue. And in line with keeping it on the ground, I would not put a bit in this horse's mouth when I'm working them on the ground. A training halter or a regular rope halter, and I like to use a long lead rope. This is about a 20-footer. This way, if the horse wants to move out, I'm not going to stop him right away. I'll give him some slack so he can get away from me if necessary, and then reel him right back into me. So again, a halter and a lead rope, a long lead rope, when you're starting him on the ground. I really would not use a bit on the ground, and the bit will be introduced when we climb on the horse's back. Okay. Today we're going to introduce the whip to this horse and get the popping noise, and from the whip graduate right into a firearm. So here we go. One of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the slack on the ground, and I'm going to stay about 6 to 7 feet away from this horse and just kind of get him used to this whip moving around. Now I've used this horse before quite a bit, and he really doesn't care too much about the whip flying around him, but that popping noise he really doesn't care for too much. So one of the things is I'm going to get him around here, and it's okay if he moves. As you can see, I'm not pulling on him. Even if he wants to pull back, let him move back, but make sure he comes right towards you. And while I'm doing this, whatever scares him and he steps back, I want him to move into it. He's moving into it. That's what I want. Rub it on his neck, rub it all over his legs, get up on his back. Make sure it's okay. I'm going to fling it back and forth. As you can see, I've still got a lot of slack here. I'm not pulling on this horse. I don't want to pull on this horse because pulling is going to create resistance, and he's going to fight that resistance. I want him to do it on his own accord. So we're going to get it around. Here we go. He's like, all right, that doesn't bother me too much. And every time I'm going to make sure there's contact with whatever is creating this pressure, so he understands it's not going to hurt him. Bring it right in front of him, let him smell it. Bring it back again. Bring it over here, and now I'm going to kind of crack it a little bit harder. And I'm going to make a face where that cracking noise is coming from. Make him step into it. Good boy. Oh. And we're going to keep on doing this till he relaxes. You don't want to overdo it. Give him a break. Just like we don't want to get overexhausted and overwhelmed. So we're going to let him settle down. He's showing me that he's a little anxious about the whole thing, which is okay. We're going to work him into it. I just want to keep him moving into whatever is scaring them. Good boy. And now one of the things I'm going to do is every time I crack this whip, you're going to see my hand that's holding the lead rope. I'm going to kind of give him a swift pull every time I crack this whip. And I'm letting them know, by doing this, you don't run away from it. You're okay. Good boy. You're okay. You're okay. That's a good boy. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Start in the front and work our way to the side. And I'm going to give him a lot of slack here. Oh. That's great. Again, we're not forcing this horse to do it. We're encouraging him. Good job. We're going to come over on this side, Hope. That's a good boy. Just like we did off the ground with the whip, now we're going to introduce the whip again off his back. And same routine on the floor, like we did. We're going to move side to side, and then we're going to crack it once or twice, and we're going to keep moving and help this horse relax. Now if you watch my hand, it's dropped on his neck. I'm really not pulling on him. I want him to stand still. If he wants to move at this point, I'm going to let him move. But I'm going to go ahead and stop if he moves, correct his behavior, and then come right back to it. And we're going to crack it on both sides. And let him know that it's okay. And for whatever reason, if your horse really can't get used to it right away, keep practicing this before you take him into the actual live firearms. So he's doing pretty good here. Not too bad. Good boy. And if he does good and he plants his feet and he stands still, go ahead and reward your horse. Let him know he did a good job. Majority of gun handlers that are going to be on horseback are always going to be right-handed. So I try to emphasize a lot of work and desensitizing on the right side to get this horse used to it. You know what? I'm pretty confident that he can handle a round or two. So we're going to go ahead and put that to the test. Now before we fire this round off, again, I want to emphasize safety first. I've been doing this for a very long time. I have a lot of experience in handling firearms. Once again, if you don't have the confidence to handle a firearm, or if whatever hesitations you have, get somebody else who has a lot of experience to help you in this. It's a lot of things can go wrong, so take every precaution that you possibly can. Anytime I'm fire training a horse or gun breaking a horse, I like to be in an enclosed area like a big round pen. That way, if anything goes wrong, that horse really can't get too far away. A lot of horses will react differently. Some horses will stand perfectly still as if they were deaf. Some horses might rear up, they might buck, they might bolt on you. Be prepared. But again, start from the ground up. Now this horse has been a pretty model citizen here in all the groundwork that we did with him. So that's why I'm making that decision right now, that I'm pretty confident that we're going to shoot off his back right now. Now the second part of this equation is make sure the holster that you're wearing and the gun that you have, that you can discharge your firearm and holster your sidearm back immediately. You do not want to get a horse kind of loose on you and keep a firearm ready with you. A single action will work even better. Now before we shoot off this round, make sure you got a coast clear. Make sure there's nobody in the vicinity. If I can encourage one thing, try to use dummy rounds when you're starting. Of course on the trails you're going to use live ammunition. But when you start off, try to use dummy rounds. So here's our first one that we're going to shoot off this back. And after you shoot, make sure you holster your sidearm immediately. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of get my seat here. Let this horse know that I'm cueing him to do something here. Get him to collect a little bit. Shorten my reins up a little. Draw my firearm. And I'm going to fire. Sidearms in the holster, and I'm going to stand here perfectly still. And I'm going to let this horse know, hey, you did a great job. You did a really good job. Now, before I kind of give him completely off this slack here, I'm going to make him turn to the direction where the firearm went, or where the round was discharged rather, and let him know, hey, look, whatever that noise that came from there, it really ain't going to hurt you. So before I get off his back, I want to discharge one more round, and then I'll feel pretty comfortable. Once again, shorten your reins up, get your seat, make sure you're balanced in your saddle, draw your firearm, and let everybody know coast clear. Oop, get your horse to stand perfectly still, and holster your weapon, and loosen up the slack at the same time to your horse. Let him know he did a good job. Second, turn to the firearm where the noise came from. Reward him, let him know he did a good job. I'm now at this point going to go ahead and get off his back, and that's additional pressure off his back, and let him know that he did a great job. If I can emphasize on one thing, that's firearm safety. Don't take it lightly, and please make sure you have adequate help. I hope these lessons could be used to your help. We'll see you next time.